Kiyomi's there to fill a void.
Well, something like that.
More like he's filling her void. No one? Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Episode 15, Wager. So the episode starts off moments after the last with Ryuk, Light, Misa, and Rim all still in Light's room.
So when should I kill him? If you take me to where he is, I can kill him immediately.
I love the juxtaposition between Rim and Light here. She's completely indifferent to what's about to happen, whereas Light is still in his own head about it. And I get it from both of their perspectives, really. For Rim, it's simple. I mean, she said it herself.
It really makes no difference. He is just another human to me.
However, I do like the fact that she's completely tactless in her approach. It's like Light can't just take you to him and have you kill him, but of course she wouldn't consider that because Shinigami have no need to be covert when killing someone. Whereas humans, or I guess more specifically Light, has to be tactful in how he goes about killing Ryuzaki as to avoid suspicion. Anyway, while the situation is simple for Rim, for Light it's so much more complex. I mean, taking down Ryuzaki has been his main focus for months now. I mean, sure, he's also been killing criminals and working to create a better world or whatever, but in reality, killing Ryuzaki is what he wants more than anything right now. And now he has the ability to do it with basically no effort on his part at all. And part of me thinks that's what has him so thrown right now. The fact that this wasn't really earned. He's been engaged in this intense back and forth with L for the better part of a year, and now, all of a sudden, he's gonna win because he asked someone to do it for him? It just feels cheap, and I think he recognizes that, which is what's causing him to zone out. However, I wouldn't say that's all there is to it, because aside from it being a cheap way to win, I think this reaction also stems from the fact that this will be the first time Light has killed someone that he actually knows. I mean, sure, they're keeping secrets from each other, but that doesn't change the fact that they've spent a great deal of time together over the last couple of months. And when you consider Light's rhetoric in the final episodes of the series, it's clear that he has a great deal of respect for Ryuzaki as his adversary. So it's complicated, and I appreciate the show for conveying that in ways that aren't overtly obvious, especially considering the fact that his next line is,
"The sooner the better. Maybe tomorrow."
He goes on to say that he needs time to consider it, and that under no circumstances should the two of them act on their own. I mean, not that they really could, given they have no idea who Ryuzaki is or what he looks like, but still. Light then asks Misa to give him her phone number, to which she gleefully complies. However, when he tells her that he can't give her his number, she gets upset.
Why not? I'm your girlfriend. I should have your number.
Now, Misa, you know damn well you can't be trusted with his number. I mean, hell, you can't even be trusted with his address just showing up out of the blue like this, tackling him like you're a fucking linebacker or something. Also, shout out to Shannon Chan Kent for the voice acting in the scene, because fucking hell, if the goal is for Misa to sound annoying as hell, she nailed it.
I should have your number.
And let me be clear, I am in no way throwing shade at her. I feel like that truly was the objective in this scene, so I'm honestly saying that she really, really killed it. Anyway, after Light explains why he can't give her his number, she offers him one of her spare phones, and Light informs her that he'll call her tomorrow, as it'll likely be the day that they kill Ryuzaki. Light then tells her that she ought to head home, and she responds by saying,
Huh? But why? It's only 7 o'clock. We can go for a romantic dinner, then maybe a moonlight stroll in the park, and after that, the main event.
Come again? I never noticed that line before. Misa is really trying to fuck on this man, which is shit. Go ahead and get you some, Light. I mean, at this point, you're stuck with her anyway. There's really no point in holding back, right?
Misa.
All right, there you go.
Listen, you have to go home now.
Or not. Honestly, I wonder if Light is asexual, because as I mentioned previously, the dude's drowning in pussy, but he just doesn't seem even remotely interested. The only time he ever engages in any sort of romantic or sexual activity, which I don't even know if you'd call kissing sexual activity, but it's always part of some sort of manipulation. I find it very interesting. Anyway, the kiss was enough to satiate Misa, and as such, she happily makes her way home.
Bye-bye, Misa. Come again real soon.
Oh, I'm sure she will as soon as she gets home. Anyway, back in Light's room.
That kiss came out of nowhere.
Sure, it's very important that Misa stays infatuated with me.
Oh, he's such a piece of shit. Like, I get it. And to be fair, it was super effective, but it's just like, you're just the fucking worst, man. Anyway, Ryuk then goes on to say,
I see. I thought perhaps you were hesitating. Because he said he thinks of you as a friend.
So something I want to point out, or rather something a lot of you pointed out to me, is the fact that the word friend can be interpreted differently in Japanese. A lot of you explained to me that the word friend is synonymous with equal, and given the context of when Ryuzaki said it, which was after Light had explained his thoughts on the second Kidda's most recent message, the idea that Ryuzaki was referring to Light as his equal actually makes a lot of sense, or rather it would if he actually meant it. And I think that might be part of the reason Light was so irritated after the fact. I think that for a second, just a second, Light believed him. I think for a second he really thought that this was a sincere moment and that the world's greatest detective was acknowledging him as a friend, as an equal. But this moment of sincerity didn't last long. It didn't last long at all. However, I think the fact that he felt anything at all, even if it was only for a second, was enough to embarrass him once again. Maybe not to the level of screaming in his room, but definitely enough to piss him off. Anyway, Light goes on to deny any notion of friendship, claiming,
Ryuga and Light Yagami appear to be friends, but L is Kira's enemy.
We then get this interesting transition into Ichigo's inner world, Light's inner world, which he shares with Ryuzaki. I don't really know what this place is, just, I guess, an artistic interpretation of Light's location in relation to Ryuzaki. I suppose if I really overanalyze it, which I guess I should be doing anyway, I could say that it's not only an interpretation of their physical location in relation to each other, but also a metaphorical interpretation of how they tower over everyone else in the Kanto region, how their intelligence and deductive skills put them figuratively on a different level than everyone else.
If I have him die in an accident, chances are that less people will suspect I'm Kira. And even if they do, there'd be no proof.
He's right. He can totally kill Ryuzaki via accidental death and get away with it because no one on the task force knows that Kira can do that. The only one who knew about it was Naomi, and she never got a chance to tell anyone about it. So as long as he doesn't do it with a heart attack, he can kill Ryuzaki however he wants, and it shouldn't really fall back on him. At least not enough to warrant arresting him. King DJ Too Fresh actually had a really good suggestion on how to do it too. Just have L choke on some candy. It's actually a really believable way to get the job done, especially since he's always eating sweets. Light could even set it up so that he's there to watch when it happens. Maybe he could catch him as he falls and look directly into his eyes as he... Well, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm getting a little too specific with this. Anyway, my point is, this could work. This should work, especially now that he has Rim on his side. So for all intents and purposes...
Tomorrow will be L's, or at least Ryuga and Ryuzaki's, last day alive.
I do want to point out that distinction though. The fact that he corrects himself and says Ryuga or Ryuzaki as opposed to L. It makes me wonder if he planned to step in as L after Ryuzaki had died. I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself on this one, but it is an interesting distinction to make this far back, I feel. Anyway, the camera rushes across the cityscape to Ryuzaki as we transition to him back at headquarters, where he's currently analyzing some physical evidence that was pulled from the tapes. And I tried looking at it to see what color the hair was, but it looks, I don't know, to me it looks teal or something. It's definitely not blonde, so I'm not entirely sure what to think of it, honestly. However, the scraps of food are a little worrisome because I feel like you might be able to get some DNA off of that, maybe? Like saliva? Or maybe that's not realistic. Regardless, it's a problem.
Mr. Yagami, if I die within the next few days, your son is Kira.
I mean, damn, Ryuzaki, talk about callous indifference. The room was quiet, everyone was just chilling, watching you work, and then you're just gonna casually throw that out there like it's nothing? I bet they're like, where is this even coming from?
What did you just say, Ryuzaki?
What are you talking about anyway?
I don't even blame them for reacting like this, because I feel fairly confident that Ryuzaki didn't even bother to explain why he called Light his friend during their last interaction. Furthermore, he had mentioned back in episode 12 that Light would be basically in the clear if he guessed that there was a second Kidda, which he did. So I could see why the chief would be pretty fucking pissed to hear this right now.
How much do you suspect my son?
The truth is, I don't even know what to think anymore.
That just feels like such an honest response. It's like, I don't even know anymore. This is all just kinda insane. Like, I've been sitting here trying to think about it from Ryuzaki's perspective while not taking into consideration what I know about Light and Misa. And that's just... fuck, it's gotta be hella frustrating being Ryuzaki right now. It's like, he feels confident that Light is Kidda, but he doesn't know who the second Kidda is. And he doesn't really have anything to go off of right now except some crumbs and a few strands of hair. More importantly, the second Kidda is far more dangerous than the original because all they need is a person's face in order to kill them. And the idea that they're now working together? I mean, shit, Light knows where their headquarters are, so he could just have the second Kidda scoping out the place right now, waiting for Ryuzaki to step outside so we can get his name. On top of that, the only other detective that's even close to being on his level is the fucking father of his main suspect. It's just, oh my gosh, this is maddening. I do not envy Ryuzaki at all. Whew. Anyway, the scene ends with Ryuzaki thinking to himself,
I have no choice but to make a sneak attack.
We then transition to the next day as Light and Miss Takada are walking together on campus. Everything seems fine and dandy until Light sees something, or rather, someone.
Hey, Light. How's it going?
I love how he seems all cheery one moment and then completely deadpan the next. Even more so because the only thing that changes is the way they draw his mouth. But yeah, he just showed up, just decided to roll up on Light like only he can, really. Light then tells Kiyomi that he needs a moment alone with his friend and that he'll meet up with her later.
I hope she's not upset.
Never mind that. Didn't you say you were afraid to appear in public?
So I really like the fact that Light seems to be panicking about the fact that Ryuzaki is here. It really kind of sells the idea that he cares about Ryuzaki and wants him to be safe, even though that couldn't be further from the truth. Anyway, Ryuzaki goes on to say,
Yeah, I did, but then I realized that as long as you're not Kira, I should be safe.
Before going on to say that if he does die in the next few days, he's told the task force to assume that Light is Kira. And that's smart. I mean, we already knew he had done that, but by revealing this information to Light, it'll hopefully cause him to hold off on killing him, at least temporarily.
Damn him.
Anyway, Light's pretty pissed about this for obvious reasons. Ryuzaki then goes on to say that he showed up because Light had mentioned that he had missed having him around in the previous episode, and so Light pretends to be happy to have him back at school.
I have to admit, without you around, intelligent conversation is hard to come by.
Luckily, Kiyomi's there to fill the void.
Well, something like that.
More like he's filling her void. No one? Okay. Thank you, Ryuk. Anyway, Light struggles with how to approach the situation now, considering Ryuzaki has basically made himself practically untouchable for the foreseeable future. Does he let him live? Does he kill him anyway? Does he just have Rem give him the name so that he can just kill him whenever he finally feels it's safe? It's a lot to consider, though the last one definitely seems like the best option. Anyway, Ryuzaki then asks Light if he wants to grab something to eat, to which Light agrees. However, as they're making their way to the cafeteria...
Light, there you are! I had a photo shoot nearby, so I thought I'd come by to see you.
I don't even have the fucking words. This is bonkers. You just don't fucking listen. Like, why would you think this is okay? Why can't you just follow simple fucking orders? Why are you so fucking impulsive? It's like I can't even count on you to do the bare fucking minimum and stay away from him. It's just so, oh my gosh, he's just such a careless fucking character, man. I mean, gosh, fuck whatever.
Misa, you idiot.
Yeah, I feel like that's putting it mildly right now. Or is it?
Wait, I've won. Misa will be able to see Ryuga's real name.
So look, it's still dumb. She is still a dumbass for doing this, but it does work out in Light's favor. Well, theoretically, anyway.
I'm Hideki Ryuga.
Huh? Hideki Ryu?
Yeah, he has the exact same first and last name as the famous idol.
I like how Light is quick to adapt to the situation, making sure to block Misa's face before she fucks up and says something she shouldn't. It was bad enough that you could literally see her start to turn her gaze upwards, trying to confirm his real name. What's interesting though is the fact that the show doesn't give us his name in this moment. I kind of like that it's just meant to stay a secret for the time being, for everyone except for Ryuzaki, Watari, and now Misa.
Ryuga, deciding to come here today was a mistake.
And in theory, he's right. All Misa needs to do now is tell Light his name, and it's a wrap. Like, regardless of what happens from this point on, he'll have Ryuzaki's name, and he'll be able to write it down whenever he wants. And yet, Ryuzaki is laughing.
Why the hell is he laughing?
Light. You're a lucky guy.
Can somebody please bonk this horny dude on the head? Like, what the hell? It's just so weird. They had him standing there with this weird aura around him like he's fucking Hisoka staring at Gon.
It's really turning me on.
Then you have the music swelling like he's about to say, "Gotcha, bitch!" Which, I mean, well, we'll get to it in a minute. Anyway, Ryuzaki's little girlfriend notices Misa, and then things get out of hand.
No way! Somebody just touched my butt!
Okay, Ryuzaki, I'm gonna need you to settle down there, because you're doing a lot, my guy.
This is an outrage. I will find whoever is responsible for this.
He says as he's the only person directly behind her. Anyway, Light is desperate to ask Misa what Ryuzaki's real name is, but is having trouble doing so with all these people around. Luckily for him, Misa's manager tells her it's time to go, which gives him the opportunity to step away from Ryuzaki so that he can call her and ask her for his real name.
I'm grateful that I was the one to discover your name, so I could kill you myself.
Wow, I love how he's just taking credit for everything that just happened here. Like, bro, not only did you not expect Ryuzaki to show up at school, but you explicitly told Misa to keep her distance. It's only because both of them strayed from what you thought or told them to do that this situation could have ever happened like this. You deserve no credit here, my guy. Anyway, welcome back to How to Use It. Even after the individual's name, the time of death, and death condition on the death note were filled out, the time and condition of death can be altered as many times as you want, as long as it's changed within 6 minutes and 40 seconds from the time it was filled in. But of course, this is only possible before the victim dies. So this is actually something Lovely Panda pointed out, but it's like, why have this be a rule, honestly? Because it's so easy to circumvent the whole 6 minutes and 40 seconds thing by just preemptively writing the cause of death beforehand. If you do it that way, like Light did in episode 5, then you don't have to worry about making sure you abide by that time limit. It essentially renders that rule inconsequential, but yeah. Anyway, the next one is, whenever you want to change anything written on the death note within 6 minutes and 40 seconds after you wrote it, you must first rule out the characters you want to erase with 2 straight lines. That's, oddly specific, but, okay. We head back from the break and see that Light is calling Misa. It looks like it may very well be over for Ryu. Wait, what? Ah, so he wasn't grabbing ass, he was grabbing her phone, and maybe grabbing ass too, but just to throw her off, of course. And look at his face too. This man knew exactly what he was doing. I love it. Also, the ringtone is the OP again. Just thought I'd point that out.
Yes? Hello?
What do you mean, hello?
I love how pissed he is. He's not even trying to hide it. And to be fair, the reaction is appropriate, Kira or not. It's like, bro, why the fuck did you take her phone? I mean, it's obvious why he did it, and that's not lost on Light.
He probably thinks he's pretty clever right now, but Misa has another phone he doesn't know about. I'll just call that one instead.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, bro, because just as Light is about to call Misa, Ryuzaki gets a call which results in him approaching Light and saying,
I'm not exactly sure how you'll take this, but regarding Misa Amane, we've taken her into custody under suspicion of being the second Kira.
Whew, well, damn. Ryuzaki is just the prince of casually mentioning major plot developments. I'd say that he was the king, but that particular title goes to Rainer Braun because you cannot top that one. Anyway, Light is feeling the heat, while Ryuk is having the time of his life.
How long has he known about Misa?
And that's a good question because seriously, what the fuck? She was literally just here. Did you also plan for that? Like, damn. Ryuzaki goes on to explain that they found hairs and fibers from the masking tape that was used to seal up the tapes. Ryuzaki goes on to act, I don't know, sincere towards Light, reassuring him that they've arrested her in secrecy so as not to tarnish her reputation. Which is just, it's just fucking hilarious because they both know that Light doesn't give a fuck about her. But Ryuzaki still feels compelled to keep up this whole, hey, we're friends, so I care about you thing that they have going on. Anyway, Light goes on to say that he was careless, adding,
I should have destroyed all the evidence before the police had a chance to go through it.
And how would you have done that exactly? Would you have just stolen it? Would that have really been the smart play? But whatever, Light has a habit of saying outlandish shit at this point. Anyway, they have this little moment in their shared metaphysical world, and it's interesting. Light essentially feels like he's lost, and that's expressed by him falling forward as Ryuzaki stares down at him, basically taking from Star Wars Episode 3.
I have the high ground!
And much like Anakin, Light basically says,
You underestimate my power!
As he stops himself from falling and says,
The real battle is just beginning, L.
Anyway, we transition back to headquarters where Ryuzaki has just shown up. Watsuri reports that Misa hasn't said anything, which prompts Ryuzaki to ask him to bring up the live feed. And Watsuri responds by saying,
Are you sure?
And I find it funny that Watsuri thought to ask that because, unlike Ryuzaki, he has a modicum of social etiquette. So he can imagine how these dudes are going to respond to seeing what he's done to Misa. But ultimately, he complies, and, well, you can imagine their reaction.
Ryuzaki, what's the meaning of this?
And yeah, that's a whole lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, given the fact that they have no idea how her power works, this makes sense, but fuck. Like, hearing her whimper like that, I can't help but feel some kind of way, you know? Like, sure, she's a mass murderer and kind of just a piece of shit all around, but it's rough. And I imagine it's the same for these guys. I mean, they're cops, good cops, who believe in law and order. So seeing someone tied up like this, a young woman no less, that's a lot to take in. Their reaction makes sense. However, Ryuzaki doesn't share their sense of morality, and so his only explanation is quick and to the point.
I've apprehended her on suspicion of being the second Kira. I'm afraid this is necessary.
And he's right. Even the chief can agree with that. Though, to be fair, he's not at all thrilled by the notion.
Chances are Amani is guilty. There seems to be enough evidence to convict her, but all the same.
Anyway, Ryuzaki then goes on to say that they need her to confess, but even more importantly, they need to know if she knows who the original Kira is. And because of that, Ryuzaki gives Watari free rein to do whatever has to be done. And while everyone seems rather distraught in hearing it, they don't object. Hell, the chief doesn't even really react when Ryuzaki adds,
Oh, and Mr. Yagami. Light has now become our prime suspect, and I'm probably going to bring him in for interrogation as well. Please be prepared for that.
And I mean, to be fair, what can you say to that? Light is literally dating the girl who you yourself have said is as good as guilty. It's just, it's unfortunate, but good for him for remaining professional, because if there was any time to lose your shit, this would be it. Anyway, 3 days pass before Watari reaches out to the team, claiming Misa is finally talking. However, what she's saying is, well, it's less than ideal.
I can't take it anymore. Kill me. Please just kill me.
Look, however you feel about her, she's still a person. She's a murderer, sure, but I don't know. I feel very fucking conflicted, because on one hand, she did this to herself, but on the other hand, the fact that this notebook was hand-delivered to her by a Shinigami that encouraged her to use it for herself, plus the fact that Kira used a notebook just like it to avenge her parents, it's complicated, because I also have to consider the fact that she's also being manipulated by Light. It's rough, and while I do think she deserves punishment, I don't think this necessarily fits the crime. But I don't know. What do y'all think? Is this justice?
Does this mean you admit to being the second Kira? Is this the reason you wish to die?
No, I don't know anything about the second Kira.
Man, you can say a lot of bad shit about Misa, but one thing you can't say is that she's not loyal, because damn, I would have been snitched on Light's ass by this point, because you damn sure ain't gonna have me getting tortured by this old dude for 3 fucking days.
If you wanted to, you could kill me right now, couldn't you?
Misa, do you mean?
Yes, kill me.
So it turns out that Misa isn't talking to them, she's talking to Rim. And it's heartbreaking because Rim offers to get her out of there, but she declines. She just doesn't want to draw any undue attention to Light. And since the only way to get her out would be to kill Watari and whoever else might be there, it would ultimately confirm that she's Kira, and that would definitely fuck Light over. And she doesn't want to do anything that would hurt Light, so yeah. Like, she even goes so far as to try and bite off her own tongue when Rim says she won't kill her. Like, her actions are so crazy that Ryuzaki wonders if she's being controlled by the original Kira right now. It is hard to watch. Anyway, we transition to Light and Ryuk in his room as Rim shows up. Anyway, Rim goes on to tell Light about Misa's situation, how she didn't say anything to the police, how she refused Rim's offer to help her escape, how she begged for Rim to kill her, and how Rim ultimately convinced her to make the only logical decision left, which was to forfeit ownership of her notebook, and with it, any memories of it. A lot of this is conveyed via a flashback, and one thing I want to point out about it is this moment where Rim touches her hair and Ryuzaki catches it, which is, I mean, I don't really know what he's supposed to do with that information. Like, it's definitely pretty weird. And it also had to have happened just before she started acting very differently. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like I should point it out. Also, I want to say how lucky they both were that Misa just so happened to give Light her notebook right before this happened. Because if it was still where she normally kept it, it would have been a wrap. But anyway, Light says that she and Misa did the right thing by having her give up ownership of the notebook, adding,
If her memories of the Death Note are gone, then chances are they'll have to release her eventually.
I don't know about that, but then he might have just been saying it to appease Rim, since he does still have to consider the fact that she is very much a possible threat. And she's not exactly hiding that fact either.
If you don't save Misa, I will kill you.
First off, get your finger out of my fucking face. Secondly, please don't kill me. No, but in all seriousness, Light has to figure out a way to get them all out of this, and it seems like he's come up with something, though it appears as though it may end up being pretty drastic.
I have a plan. This is goodbye, Ryuk.
And roll credits. Anyway, that's the end of this episode. If you liked the video, then consider dropping a like. And if you really liked it, then consider subscribing. Anyway, that's it for this time. Until next week, friends. Peace.